I'm officially back on the English coastal path along the Medway Estuary. It's boiling and we are going to try and spot some more U-boats. I didn't actually time the last time I came here to see UB122 with the tides, but these U-boats are in slightly worse condition, and so you can only really see them at low tide. You can get a glimpse of them, but you really have to time it right. So hopefully I have timed it right. I'm going to make a massive assumption and say I don't think many people come out this way. Well, so much for the English coastal path. I think this is about as far as I'm going to get, unless I want to traipse through this and that rather large fence that's in the foliage over there. So I think the submarine, or the submarines, are somewhere over there. We'll see. Wish me luck. Godspeed, little drone.
Well, here you will see me slowly realise that my batteries weren't charged up.
59?
Which just goes to show that even after 15 years of filmmaking, sometimes you can still forget the golden rule of don't leave the house until you've checked your batteries. If there's one thing that's going to scupper a shoot, it's not being able to turn on your camera, or in this case, your drone. Fortunately, I still had just enough battery to get over there, snap a few shots, and come back. So if you've seen my other video on UB122, which isn't confirmed as UB122, and I've seen people say it's actually a different U-boat. Locals have recovered parts of it which have actual labels on saying that it is not UB122, but UB122 is the name by which most people have come to refer to this U-boat. And UB122 ended up where it is, potentially because it was being towed back up the Medway after being stripped of parts for the local oil refinery, namely having its diesel engines removed and fitted into the factory. Then it was being towed back to be finally scrapped, and on the way back broke free of its tow and drifted to where we can see it now in the mudflats. Now that could be what happened to these two U-boats. Again, we don't know for sure, but they either drifted there after coming loose, or they were just dumped there in shallow water because they couldn't be bothered to move them anywhere else. They were done with them. And from looking at these two U-boats, which are in far worse condition than UB122, I'd imagine maybe these had been fully scrapped and just dumped here. I guess under the assumption that no one apart from, the odd person on a rowboat or in a canoe was going to actually be moving around in this creek. And probably half the reason they're still there at all is because of the mud kind of semi-preserving them, and also making it difficult for anyone to come and, ever completely remove them. And with these ones, it's clear that there's no real way we'll ever be able to identify exactly which U-boats these are, because the metal is just too corroded. I don't think we're ever going to find anything identifiable on there. Now, if any locals are watching this and they do have any idea which two U-boats these are, maybe you know a local who's taken some parts before everything was completely corroded, or, maybe you've heard local rumours, do let me know in the comments. But again, it's incredible that stuck out here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's not a lot going on out here apart from, industry, a little bit of fishing, but we still have these incredible reminders of a horrible conflict that took place over 100 years ago. And though they've been decaying there for well over 100 years, they're still there, reminding us of some of the horrors that were faced during that period of war. And not just by the people that these U-boats hunted down, although obviously so many seafarers lived in fear of these during the war, but also of the men that were on these. I mean, these were, at best, experimental tin cans. And though they were very effective, they were also unbelievably deadly. Now, last time I looked, I think the mortality rate on board one of these German U-boats was something like 75%. Now that's incredible. Just to put that in perspective, that's 3 out of every 4 men who went down in one of these U-boats never came back. Really, it must just have been a terrifying prospect on both sides of the torpedo tubes of these U-boats. Let's just say I wouldn't want to have been on a battleship with one of these knocking about, and I definitely wouldn't have wanted to be in one of these.
Battery level is low. Aircraft will return to the home point in 10 seconds.
She's coming back.
Landing.
Well, not quite as much as I'd hoped for. This would be a good lesson for me to make sure my batteries are definitely charged before I come out, but we got some nice stuff, I think. And if anything, this was a nice safe test of the return to home feature on the drone, so I'm not going to call it a complete loss.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff really helps me out, and I'll see you in the next one.